Hi, it's Tekoa Manning, and I wanted to come on and talk about doomsday prophets and just the devastation in America and how to go about communicating with others during these times when our nation is very vulnerable, divided, and hurting. There are a lot of people right now who are going through complete and utter devastation. And I noticed that some people were calling this fake news, that none of this flooding in North Carolina or the Carolinas or Tennessee or areas in the mountains. I believe it was Chapel Rock, that this was fake, that it was not happening. Well, it is happening. It has happened. Other people were commenting that um, this is what America deserves, and they're getting what they deserve for their adultery, and he is going to take their cars and their homes and everything. The father is, because God is judging America. And there's one particular lady who, I wonder, do I call out her name? Because I think the Apostle Paul would call out her name, and I'm not the Apostle Paul, but there's a reason why we call out people's names, because people mimic what they hear. And I'll just say, if you're following a prophet or a prophetess, if you're following a prophetess and she knows Hebrew and she wears a headscarf, that doesn't make her a true prophet. And sometimes some of these prophets today are no more than tabloid trash talkers. They spew forth continuous doom and gloom, and they never end as the prophets in the Bible. They never end with a word of hope. They never end with hesed. They never end with love, compassion. They just end with, it's almost as if everybody else is wicked and they're getting what they deserve, but then they're the only one who's righteous. And guys, you know, we know that throughout the Bible, when the Father's people uh, begin to be encased and swept up into adultery and all kinds of things that were grievous to him. Um, yes, the prophets come forth and they bring a word. And I was reading from the book of Micah today, and I'm just going to read a little bit, but I do want to show you how the prophetic words uh, are tied up at the end by the true prophets of Adonai. And hear, leaders of Jacob, rulers of the house of Israel, is it not for you to know justice? You haters of good and lovers of evil, you are robbing their skin from them and their flesh from their bones. Then they will cry out to Adonai, but he will not answer them. He goes on, this is verse 5 and 3. He says, thus says Adonai about the prophets who are misleading my people, those who bite with their teeth and cry, Shalom, a word that he did not put in their mouth, yet they consecrate war against him. Therefore you will have night without vision, darkness without divination. He says, the sun shall set on the prophets, the day shall become dark upon them, so the seers will be ashamed and the diviners will be abashed, for there will be no answer from God. He talks about their bloodshed. He says, her leaders give judgment for a bribe. Her priests give direction for a price. Her prophets practice divination for money, yet they lean on Adonai by saying, is not Adonai in our midst? No calamity will come upon us. And so once we reach Micah 5, though, we hear a change in the rebukes, the correction, the humbling. He says, but at the end of days, the mountain of Adonai's house will be established as chief of the mountains and will be raised above the hills, and people will flow up to it. Then many nations will say, come, let us go up to the mountain of Adonai, to the house of the God of Jacob. Then he will direct us in his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For Torah will go forth from Zion, and the word of Adonai from Jerusalem. He will judge between many peoples and decide for mighty nations far off, and they will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning shears. And nation will not lift up a sword against nation, nor will they learn war again. And then the prophet Micah says something very interesting, and if I haven't lost you yet, it's chapter 4, verse 4, and it says, but each man will sit under his vine and under his fig tree, with no one causing terror, for the mouth of Adonai has spoken, though all the peoples will walk, each in the name of his God. So we ourselves, we will walk in the name of Adonai Eloheinu for an ever and ever. He talks about gathering those who are limping. He talks about the restoration. That's what true prophets do. And I wanted to just say that if you can imagine watching your child, your baby, your elderly parents, your home, your vehicles being swept away in an instant, everything you've worked for your whole life is gone. I talked to a woman who basically has lost everything. And there are people that have lost their children, their spouses, their family members. And they're waking up already in a state of disbelief. They do not need to hear more doom. This is the time to love our neighbors and to give if you want to give. Samaritan's Purse is a great safe place to give. They are boots on the ground. But this is not a time to act as if we sit on the throne on high. This is a time to show compassion, to come together in unity, to be his hands and his feet. And it's so sad, what has happened. But as I was thinking about the devastation and the doomsday prophets and prophetesses who only spread doom and gloom, it would be nice if we had some balance, because we have the prophets who are spreading, just as the Father was stating in Micah, oh, shalom, nothing harmful will come to you. Keep living wickedly and doing what you do. It would be nice to have that balance, but it seems today we have like the prosperity gospel and everything, and then we have the doom and gloom. And so we need to find some balance in that. But as I was meditating on it, I just felt led to read from 1 Corinthians 13, and I'm sure many of you have read it before, but it says, if I speak with the tongues of men and of angels but have not love, I have become a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and know all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains but have not love, I am nothing. Nothing. If I give away all that I own, if I hand over my body so I might boast but have not love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy others. It does not brag. It is not puffed up. It does not behave inappropriately. Guys, we can really behave inappropriately at a time when it's not the time to behave inappropriately. It does not seek its own way. It is not provoked. I'm going to repeat that. Love is not provoked. It keeps no account of wrong. It does not rejoice over injustice, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things. It believes all things. It hopes all things. It endures all things. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will pass away. Where there are tongues, they will cease. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part, but when that which is perfect has come, then that which is partial will pass away. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I spoke immaturely. I spoke puffed up. I spoke with words of envy. I spoke with boastfulness. I spoke with all the wrongs everyone did. I spoke with doomsday and no hope. I spoke with hate. I spoke. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child and I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put away the childish things. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. But now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. The people that are going through trauma right now, who are going through divorce, broken homes, addiction, losing everything they've worked their whole life for, the death of loved ones, all of these things, they need faith, they need hope, and they need love. And love is the greatest gift. Love. So let's be careful. And I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to myself. Let's be careful how we, what we say, how we respond, and how we treat those who are going through unspeakable, horrific trauma right now. So anyway, I hope you all have had a wonderful Feast of Trumpets, Yom Teruah, for those who keep the feast. For those who don't keep the feast, you can get my free book on my website at tekoamanning.com. It's called Unveiling the Messiah in the Feast, and you'll be able to see Jesus, or I like to call him Yeshua's Hebrew name. It means salvation. And so, anyway, blessings. Bye-bye.